Hey everybody, welcome back to AI Diatribe. My name is Jason Lowe. I am your host, joined today by my co-host, Matt Conweiser, and we have a very unique and special treat for you today. Today is a student panel made up of a bunch of students that are in university across the world, and I'm talking like everywhere. So let me go ahead and introduce them one at a time. First, we are joined by Violet Penny. She's a business major and an IS minor interested in business law. She's headed into her sophomore year at the University of Utah. Yes, my school, because she was a freshman last year and she was in one of my classes. She's originally from Colorado, but right now she's actually joining us from Japan, where she's finishing up that IS minor program, studying abroad. And she's also an artist and loves drawing and painting. Next, we are joined by Aldre Von Aquino, who likes to go by the name of Von. He hails from Quezon City, Philippines. Incoming fourth-year Bachelor of Secondary Education student at the University of Philippines, Diliman. He majors in values education with a minor in mathematics education. Interestingly enough, he used to dislike AI so much, but now he's been using it for probably the last 14 months or so extensively. But he also feels that it's really transformed the way he learns as a student and also how he teaches as an online tutor, because that's something that he does part-time. So welcome on, right, Mr. Vaughn. Next, we're joined by Sanvi Dupar. She is a sophomore at University of California, Berkeley, double majoring in English and cognitive science. She's actually joining us from Long Island, New York, where she's from. She loves running. That's her passion. So welcome, Sanvi. Our fourth student to join us is a gentleman by the name of Nicholas Kuzmanoff, goes by Nick, and he is a rising sophomore. Yes, and I did say rising sophomore. He's studying finance at the University of Utah. He's also a former student of mine. By the way, both of these students that are in here both got A's that semester. He's originally from the Los Angeles area, where he joins us from now, working with Scholars Opportunity Fund currently, and he's interested in pursuing a career in investment banking. And outside of school, he's an avid golfer, and he loves travel. And last but not least, our fifth panelist to join us all the way from Malaysia, Mohammed Nashiruddin Abd Latif. We'll just call him Mohammed from this point forward. He's a medical doctor. Yes, we are joined by an actual medical doctor on this from Johor Bahru, Malaysia, currently pursuing a Master's of Public Health at the University of Malaysia. His academic interest includes epidemiology, public health, and health systems, naturally, given what he's pursuing. Outside of work and study, he enjoys exploring maps, so he's a real topographist, traveling and finding practical ways to use technology to make learning more effective and accessible. Welcome, everyone. So excited to have you here. We've got Japan, we've got the Philippines, we've got Malaysia, we've got LA, we've got Utah, we've got New York, we've got New Jersey. We're kind of scattered all over the place. So I'm going to start things off. I want to ask a quick question for everyone, just really quickly, each of you, and I'll call you by name. Tell me the one AI tool that you actually are using most days and what you use it for. Violet, let's start out with you.
Yes, I definitely use the free version of ChatGPT, just unpaid. And recently, since I've been traveling, I use it mostly for translation and definitely organizing itineraries, just kind of organizing my daily life in general for assignments. It's kind of nice for brainstorming and kind of planning and studying while also being able to travel at the same time. I think it really keeps things nice and organized.
Very good. Okay, Mohammed.
Okay, so I'm currently pursuing my Master of Public Health. So I'm using ChatGPT as my main. And recently, there's a introduction of cloud. So I now become friendly with cloud. So it helps me to organize my study materials, such as my research paper, all the literature review, and also to understand the theoretical frameworks for my study.
Okay, Sanvi, you're up.
I would say I think I use Claude the most. Probably I'm taking summer classes right now and they're all like online and I don't have to log in. So it helps me keep track of my assignments and when things are due.
Excellent. So we got 2 Chat GPTs, 2 Claudes so far, counting both of yours, Mohammed. All right, Vaughn, what do you use?
Yeah. So Jason mentioned earlier that I used to hate AI. Now I always use it in almost all subjects that I have in my university. So I use ChatGPT for my studying mostly. But when I'm tackling very advanced topics in math, I usually use Google's Gemini because I think it's more accurate in some cases, especially with the computational processes behind the solutions and stuff. But I use ChatGPT when most of in organizing my personal daily life also.
Understood. Okay. Thanks, Fawn. And Nick, bring us home. What are you using these days?
I've been using Anthropic's Claude pretty consistently. I use Claude Code for kind of infrastructure build out, but have been using the model to kind of scan and scrape the web for research papers and kind of be more of a thought person on compiling a large research paper and then going back and forth on what that really looks like and asking it questions. More of a thought person just to be there for me when I need kind of questions answered.
Very good.
So you guys have given us a good little groundwork. And just so you know, my point of view, I'm 100% in on Claude. I mean, I think like most people, I started with ChatGPT because that was the dominant one a few years ago. But just in terms of general interactions, I tend to like it better. And we have a third host with us that we didn't really introduce. And it's somebody that if you've seen our podcast, you know who she is. And it's Dr. Nami Kurian, who is a professor in England. And she is an expert on child studies, child health, and AI. And she's been doing quite a lot of work on this. So we've actually asked her to give us some good questions as part of this panel. So I am going to start off by asking you guys this question, and we'll see who wants to answer it because it's a pretty broad question, but you've all admitted that you use AI for things. And here's the question. And the question is, how has AI changed the way you approach your college essays? And as a follow-on, do you think it's actually made you a better learner? So who wants to take a stab at that one?
I'd love to. We'll talk about the learning elements first and then get to my personal writing abilities and how AI has affected that. But on the learning side, having Claude constantly or just an AI themselves be there for you when you have a question, wherever it may be, is like having a teacher or an acclaimed professor next to you while you're doing your work. It has been very helpful to be going through challenging coursework and having someone that can help you along that path. In terms of my writing ability, I feel that my writing ability has almost shifted. I think that AI has allowed me to explore different kind of paths with writing, and just reading kind of outputs of chats can kind of give you a strong understanding of what strong writing looks like. And that has been something that has allowed me to learn and grow my writing ability.
So you're actually saying that in some ways, the coaching that it's been giving you has made you a better writer. Not that you've become lazier, but that you're actually learning better style and better form by looking at what it's giving you.
Exactly. I think that the problem and thing that I see most among some of my peers at school is them outsourcing tasks to a AI model. And that's where I see an issue in the learning side. Whereas if you use AI as a coach or a kind of side-by-side tutor that can work with you, I see it as a tool that will help us grow smarter. I just think that there's a fine line of people that will take AI and use it to do their work for them.
And I think we did see that happen, right? Not only in school, but also in the workplace.
Yes.
I wanted to add on to that because I know being an English major, like one of the things I'm doing the most is just constantly writing essays. And especially this year in my curriculum, I had to read a lot of Old English, which was incredibly difficult to understand. I don't know if anyone has like read Old English. It's impossible to like even get through like one like page. It was just really hard. And I think not having class every single day to like walk through with your professor to like read through it and like actually understand what was being said was really difficult. So I think like one of the ways I think AI really helped me was just like translating these texts and helping me like with strategies to translate the text. Cause honestly, like sometimes these tactics that you're supposed to use don't always like help. Sometimes it just doesn't register in your brain of like, how am I supposed to be translating this? And so like, it was kind of what Nick was saying, that it's a lot of just helping out, and like when you use it properly, it's really helpful. But obviously a lot of people do abuse that and they just have it, read the book for them or like use all this information's online and write their essays for them. And I think that's where the problem lies, but it really helps like formulate and structure like what you are writing.
So the next question, And I would like Mohammed to take a stab at this one first. And this is kind of an interesting one, given that you're already fairly locked into your profession. But here's the question. Do you think AI has changed the career you imagined when you chose your degree?
Thank you, Matt, for the questions. I think no, because in my professions, my career as a medical doctor, AI actually helps us in a better understanding of the health problems. Because in medical professions, I cannot replace, truly, AI cannot replace the doctors. Because AI can help us understand the health facts, doing all the fact checks. But the professional judgments, the ethical considerations, even though there's abundance of knowledge, the ethical or the professionalism rely on the personnel, the doctors itself. So it's on how the individual or the doctors itself to use the AI ethically or smartly utilize it. So in my opinion, AI is just a tool to improvise or help us gain more knowledge or studies better in healthcare or medicine.
And how do you feel about the future?
For the future, I think for the healthcare professionals, they need to more engage with AI as their learning tools and also in practicing their medicines, because we are relying more on evidence-based medicine for our decisions tools. So we cannot rely 100% or 200% on AI, but we need to utilize AI to help us in our judgment or in our professional judgment. So that I think is in the future, it will help us achieve more quality in patients' treatment. So in terms of educating our patients, we need to utilize AI. So in the future, I think jobs relating to medical professionals or healthcare workers, AI cannot replace them, but they need to work together with AI to improve the healthcare or the health benefits for the populations.
Very, very interesting. And I think that is the direction it's going, especially in healthcare. That's why I asked you. But Violet, we haven't heard from you yet as well. What do you think? Has AI influenced at all the career choice you've made? And what do you think about the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still really early into my education, so I don't really know surely where exactly I want to be, but I'm definitely taking an interest in law. And I think AI is definitely changing the scene there just because it can really be an assistant to all the heavy research that's required and summarizing documents and collecting drafts faster than a person. I think that part is really useful. But for law, you need a person who can kind of exercise that judgment and negotiate and advocate for people, which I think is just something AI isn't capable of doing. It lacks that human aspect to it, which I think is really important. So I think in law, AI will definitely be a very useful tool in helping with all the research and the case building. But I think the actual exercising of that is up to the actual lawyer themselves.
Very good.
All right. So I think I want to turn this a little bit kind of along the same lines, but Vaughn, I have a question for you, sir. In this global survey, 37% of students said that they seriously doubt their program is relevant for the AI future. Okay, so my question for you is, do you feel like you're doing things in the education field that might not exist by the time you graduate?
That's actually a very interesting question because I would relate my answer to Mr. Muhammad and Violet's answer in regards to how certain tasks could be replaced by AI. I would say that AI will not replace teachers, but AI will definitely replace some of the tasks that teachers mostly do. In the systematic way, I would say that the formatting of quizzes, the checking of tests, answers, and such. I would say that most of the clerical tasks that the teachers would have to do. I would say that AI could definitely replace that. But like Violet's answer earlier, there's the human aspect in the profession that I would say could definitely not be replaced. I would say that's the mentorship aspect, the emotional help that the teacher would give to the students. So I think we're not being trained to be replaced, but we're being trained to actually adapt to how AI will eventually help us because yes, AI is definitely developing very fast. The educational policies sometimes cannot catch up to that recently, but I think it will in the near future.
Very good. Well, and I'm going to flip this because you're in a very people-centric occupation, Vaughn. That's obvious. Nick, not so much. I mean, there's a lot of junior financial analyst positions that are just basically going away because people are using AI for junior finance work. And we've had this conversation before. So what are your thoughts here? Do you think that some of the training that you're getting might be obsolete by the time you actually graduate?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question. And large banking CEOs, notably Jamie Dimon, have been very vague when talking about this. However, I think that senior bankers still understand the greater perspective that there needs to be some sort of apprenticeship in order to gain those skill levels to become a more senior and experienced banker. And while this is a very expensive and time consuming learning module, I think this is something that everyone understands is a need to happen. And some firms, IBM specifically, I know have tripled their input of lower level employees because they understand the importance of that growth that's going to happen.
Nick, it's really interesting that you do mention that because the jobs data does seem to be a little bit kind of contradictory. So you did cite that right. I mean, recent grads unemployment is running above the overall rate. It's gone up from 4.3% up to 5.6. So unemployment has gotten worse, but you're right. Big tech, as far as IBM is concerned, they are tripling their entry level hiring. The demand for AI skills in entry level roles has pretty much tripled since the fall of 2025. Big tech cut new grad hiring to just 7% of new hires on average. It seems to be that IBM is bucking the trend. So, Sanvi, I have to ask you, does this make you scared or does this make you optimistic heading into the future, this upheaval in the job market?
That's a really interesting question. And I think I would fall somewhere right in the middle of because I'm like not 100% sure where I want to go. The idea that AI could definitely replace a lot of these lower level jobs is in the back of my head. But at the same time, it's like you have to have a really good understanding of AI for your future. So, like, something that I always hear my dad is always saying, you're either like using the AI or you're making the AI. And like, that's really in the back of my head where it's like if you don't understand how these models are being formed and created, then how much can you really use it to the best of its abilities? So when I'm thinking about my future, it's definitely a lot more in my mind at the top of it, definitely.
Well, and Violet, it's got to be on your mind. I have a sister who's a lawyer, and she is using AI all the time. She loves it. Claude is her AI of choice, but she's a little bit worried. How do you feel? Are you getting a little bit scared, or are you more on the optimistic side? Where do you fall on this scale?
Yeah, I feel like I'm definitely a little bit of both. Definitely a little worried just because of how prominent AI has become in our lives so quickly. I think it's kind of scary and looming just because we don't really know how far it's going to go. But I do think eventually the use of AI will eventually just hit a plateau and slow down, and we'll have, our regulations of how much we can use it in the workforce. I do think, optimistically, it will be a great tool. And I think it could open up potentially more jobs in different sectors of just what AI can't do that does need human people and human voices. So I think it could be on both sides. But as of right now, I'm definitely a little nervous, but all we can really do is keep working forward and figuring out how to use it as a tool and how to, work towards a goal in the future using what we have.
Very good. So, it's funny because as I was looking at all of your bios and listening to some of the questions you've been answering, I'm thinking about this. We've got education, we've got cognitive science, we've got law, we've got finance, we've got healthcare. And, all of these things have something in common, which is that people are using AI as helpers or assistants in all of these fields right now. There are people that are making financial decisions at home using Claude as their backup to decide how they're going to create their futures and balance their budgets. We've got people using AI for diagnostics for health and differentials. We've got people that are using it to get legal advice and to draft up documents. So here's the question. And I'll start with Mohammed because you're probably furthest along in your progression of education. But are you worried that AI could replace or really significantly change the careers that you've chosen to go into? And has it made you potentially rethink the path that you're on as a professional?
Thank you, Matt, for the questions. I think it's an interesting one. For my career change of my career choice, I think it's no. Because if anything, AI has reinforced why I choose public hub as for my master. So my career progressions, I can analyze large data sets much faster than humans, but deciding how to respond to disease outbreaks, reduce health inequalities, or communicate risk still requires professional or human judgment. So during my research on diabetes care, AI help organize information but identify meaningful public hub implications remain my responsibility. So that it still needs to balance between the AI input and my professional output to balance for the interventions for the populations. So the value of the university education is no longer just access to information; it's learning how to evaluate evidence and make sound decisions. So I'm not worried because of the AI, whether it's taking the responsibility for my judgments or not. Because as a human professional, we still need to do it ethically and professionally.
Absolutely. And Vaughn, the other, of course, healthcare is one big area where people are using AI, but education is changing drastically because of AI, right? You've got universities trying to first embrace it, now ban it. You've got all of these programs to try and detect it, which are failing hilariously.
Yes.
And you've got workforces that are requiring it that people graduate. So you're really caught in the middle of this thing. What is your answer to this question?
Yeah, it is very hard because since what I also said earlier, that I think it's a bit hard for the educational field because we didn't really anticipate how AI progressed through the times before and to now, and I think it's a bit hard for the educational leaders to actually adapt. That's why I think there's so many diverse opinions about AI's use, particularly on academic integrity. Particularly in my university, I don't think there's an explicit rule on how we can use AI in terms of like the actual groundwork of how we can use it. That's why professors would have to give their own rule about it. Some really do not want for the students to have AI in their works. Others would promote it, but they would give some guidelines on it. And I think that's the best way. So really, I think it's a matter of values on the professor side on how you would want your students to be learning. So yeah, it's a hard debate in the educational field, I would say.
You know, it's interesting that you said all that because I don't know if you guys know this, but roughly half of United States students, now this is again restricting to the United States, they say that their school discourages the use of AI. 42% of universities discourage the use of AI, or they ban it outright. 11% actually ban the use of AI outright. But students are using it anyway. I'm seeing it all the time. And Sanvi, I'm really curious, what is UC Berkeley's policy, and does anybody even follow the darn thing?
This is actually a really good question because it's specific to each teacher, but their like overall policy is that if you're caught cheating on like any exam or any paper, automatic 0, automatic F in the class. So it's like what your teacher defines as cheating. In my computer science class, second semester, any use of AI, like we would have take home tests. So that was actually a very interesting class. All of our tests were take home. And if they suspected you of using AI, you would get an automatic F in the class. And this happened to a bunch of students. I was in that class. I heard of a bunch of my friends getting called in at the end of the year, and they waited till the very last day before finals were over to let all these students know that they failed the class. And the statistic for that class was, I think, the prior year, about 10% of students failed that class, and this year, almost 45% of students failed that class.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
crazy. But in my college writing class, my teacher at the beginning of the year made us all write almost a 10-page essay on whether or not we think AI is ethical to use in a teaching setting. And after that, she was like, I can't stop you from using AI, but we all wrote down a list of how we think the best way we could use it in class would be, and then that's the set of rules we followed for that class. So I think I had both ends of the spectrum in one semester, and it was really interesting to see how I really appreciated my college writing professor because she was like, I know you guys are using it, and it would be ignorant of me to believe if you weren't. So let's get some rules down, and I think that was honestly the best way to do it.
So if I could just ask really quickly, Sanvi, just a quick, short yes or no, but what was your opinion? Is it ethical to use AI? What
Me
was
and
your
Matt have
outcome on
gotten
that paper?
into very interesting conversations about this before, but I think in a school setting, I'm 50-50. In my computer science class, I think if you were using AI, like, what are you doing? You're not learning anything. Whereas in my college writing class, where a lot of these students didn't want to be in, like, it was a requirement. Like, Berkeley made everyone basically take a college writing class, and a lot of these kids didn't need to be in that class. So, like, if you wanted to use AI to help you, I guess, yeah, like, if you have no interest in this at all, and this is just work that isn't seeming important to you, like, I don't know. It's like, for me, I didn't use it in my college writing classes too often because it felt wrong. But for someone who doesn't have any passion for that, is it wrong for them? It's really like an individual thing, I think.
Nick, I'm going to pull you into this one, buddy.
Yeah.
Because we actually had someone, and I've mentioned this on a previous AI Diatribe episode, did have someone in that class that ended up failing the final because they were using AI and they were cheating on the final. And I had to zero them. Now, I know that the way that I did things in my class isn't necessarily the way that everybody else did. Nick, I'm curious, what was it like in your other classes? I know the University of Utah doesn't have a standing policy against the use of AI. It is a class-by-class basis, much like Sanvi is experiencing. But what were your observations? Were people really kind of trying to stay true to it, or was AI use just completely rampant?
I think one of the major things is just the in-person testing and making sure that you can actually validate your knowledge through tests. And I'm interested to see how take-home tests would go in this day and age. And I wouldn't be shocked if they had abnormal returns just because of the use of AI. But many of my classes understood the role of AI, the presence of it, and wanted to make sure that we were able to back up our work with our knowledge. A specific example, I had a Foundations of Business Thought class where my professor was against AI, and he acknowledged the existence and he welcomed us to use it, but he wanted to make sure that we were able to go through our work and talk to our work like as if we were to really know everything about it. He wanted to make sure we weren't putting all the work on AI to do it for us. And I think that is something I appreciate, where we're able to actually be able to use a tool that is meant to help us while also being able to actually learn and take something from the work that'll benefit us going forward.
So I'm going to ask an interesting kind of follow on to all of this. And I'm going to ask Yvonne first. And the question is so you've talked about the application of this. You've talked about the impact on your careers, on your career choices. If you could design a custom course as part of your curriculum that involved AI, what would be the elements of that course? What would be the essential modules that course would have to teach?
So I would say that's a difficult question, but adapting to the all of the answers that my fellow panelists have said, I think co-creating is one of the common theme or the recurring theme that's happening. So not relying on the generation of knowledge, but rather the cooperation of knowledge with AI. Because I think if I'm going to design the course with AI, one thing is about the ethical use of it. One end is the ethical use, and second is the cooperation. I think that's part of the umbrella of the ethical use of AI. And third is the actual skills that we should really have as a modern civilian, because AI is already there. We accept it. We know that it's there. So why not use it? So I would say that those three are the main pillars for my educational field. The first is cooperation of knowledge with AI. Second is the responsible use of AI. And third is the actual skills in AI.
So it sounds like a focus on responsible AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially
Okay.
since education is centered on the human aspect. So really focusing on the ethics of it is a big, big requirement.
Very good. And, I wish we had somebody here that's focused on business law. They would be really good at this. Oh, wait, actually, Violet,
Hey, there we go.
we do have somebody focused on business law. So the same question, if you could design a course as part of your college education that was focused around AI, what would that course contain?
Yeah, I definitely think it would contain more of just about how to use it as a tool instead of doing the work for you. I did actually just take a course on AI and information systems just a couple weeks ago about it. And we really just kind of dived into all the different types of AI and how it contributes to IS in total. But I definitely didn't enjoy that course as much just because it really felt like we weren't feeling like the applications itself. And keep in mind, our courses here are only 10 days long. So we don't have that much time to really apply it. But if I were to have a course like that myself, I would really try to work with AI instead. And I think like learning the foundation of it is good, but actually applying it in our real lives and using it as a tool while also trying to learn and train our minds as well. Because, we're the ones paying for college. We should be paying to get the education and not just have AI do things for us. So I think actually training our minds to work with it instead of just have it do it for us is really important.
It's interesting because there's AI in school and then there's AI in work. And it's so funny because the age-old argument is that you go to college to learn a bunch of things that when you go out and start your career, you end up not ever using. And it's a little bit of a joke because you can't exactly understand what the real world's going to be like. And yet the usage and the application of AI, if it's taught the right way at the university level, can certainly lead to being able to utilize it in the workforce a little bit better. But there's actually a bit of a problem there because the old career path used to be, and this is the way it was, and I don't think it's the way it's headed now, but you used to get into an entry-level position, just the lowest possible rung that you could get into, and you did all this grunt work. You just, you fetched coffee, you did whatever you had to do to work your way into the company and do everything to where you could actually work your way up. You learn on the job. You end up climbing the corporate ladder as you go. But AI is really kind of taking that bottom rung and just cutting it off. And they're relabeling the next rung up entry level, which is an area that needs more human skills. And so if AI is doing all of the grunt work, I'm curious. Vaughn, I would like to hear from you on this one. What can you do to break into the workforce and prove yourself? I mean, are there things that you're doing to build a portfolio? Are you doing internships? What are some of these things that you're doing to try and help you break in and actually earn some more experience?
Okay, thank you for that easy question, Jason. Actually, for me, I think that's for one thing that I would definitely answer is having a job alongside with your education. So that's what I'm doing right now as an online tutor or an online teacher as a way for me to prepare for the actual teaching in the classroom. So what I'm doing right now is a one-on-one tutoring in my locality and also a tutoring in online with the US-based students. So I think doing your work in actual experience is really one of the best ways on learning theory. So I think getting into the field is one of the most important things. So while also using AI skills alongside the actual experience. So in that way, when you're in the entry level that the AI is already doing, like what I said earlier for the tasks that AI is mostly doing in the educational field, and you're not being left off in that case. So I would say that having a job, if you can, while you are studying, is one of the best ways to actually garner experience.
Well, and that's interesting because Mohammed, we were talking beforehand, and you, my friend, you're a medical doctor. You are a doctor. You're not working as a doctor right now. You're a full-time student. Okay. Are you concerned about this? What are you doing to make sure that you're going to be able to enter into things the way that you want to, despite AI having an effect on some of these entry-level positions?
In my opinion, regarding the entry level of positions in healthcare, I think AI cannot replace them because in healthcare, all the entry level still need human or individual personnel to do the routine tasks. But on how AI can help is in terms of the training, in terms of on how AI can quickly shift the training models for the entry level of working, such as on how to help in terms of organizing the tasks or shifting from the manual documentations or recording to have a good dashboard or something like AI integrated output. So that I think in healthcare, in my opinion, we need to integrate between AI and also entry level human skills so that it can be achieve a better outcomes.
Okay.
So here's a good question as we look to the future now. So we're going to turn our Wayback Machine in the other direction and look at the Way Forward machine. Now it is, speaking of Way Forward, so raise your hand if it's Wednesday right now. It's Wednesday for me. All right. So if it's Thursday, raise your hand. Okay. So we've got some interesting Way Forward and Way Back machines going on just here. Now, what if we look 5 years into the future? And this is a question for all of you. So I'd like all of you to think about this and just come up with a quick answer so we can just get a feel for how everybody's feeling about this. And the question is, 5 years from now, how do you think AI is going to be part of everyday life? And as a second part of that, what are you most concerned about and what are you most looking forward to in that existence? So 5 years out, how is AI a part of your life? What are you most concerned about and what are you most looking forward to? And I think we'll go as I'm seeing you all on my screen anyway. So we'll start with Muhammad.
Okay, to answer this in the future, I think as a doctor, what I'm afraid of is the public or community will trust AI more than their doctors. So that as a doctor itself, I'm afraid that the public didn't trust their own doctor because I already subscribed to ChatGPT. So ChatGPT suggests I should get this kind of treatment. So as a public personnel, I need to counter this public opinion regarding AI. So that we need to come up with on how to educate the public to use AI or ChatGPT responsibly for their health. Okay, we can achieve better health, not just rather than to replace the doctors itself.
Okay. And Violet, to you, what does AI look like 5 years in the future? What are you concerned about and what are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, I think in the future, I definitely believe there will be more regulations on the use of AI. And I think it'll definitely be very prominent in everyone's life by then, either as assistance for work or just daily life. But some of my major concerns right now is really for the future generations. I have a little sister, she's going into 8th grade, and I hear all the time from her how her peers are using ChatGPT for all their homework assignments. And thinking back to my time in middle school where I'm learning, just the foundations of math and writing, I think that's really important. So it kind of makes me nervous for those kids going into college. I just hope that they have those skills down and are able to learn. But even here in Japan and South Korea, like AI is already so profound. I mean, all the advertisements on the subways and billboards are all AI generated. And I just know it's a big part in everyone's daily lives. So I just hope that there'll be more regulations and that the future generations will still have the capacity to learn.
Very good. And Sanvi, our local ethicist on AI, what is your opinion? What do things look like 5 years in the future? What are you concerned about? What are you most looking forward to?
I think looking into the future, I would say we're going to use it the way we use the internet. I think like this whole thing of like you just search things up on the internet is going to be how AI is. You walk downstairs and you're like, what does my day look like? There's going to be like AI everywhere. And I don't know how much that concern or how eerie that is, I think, of, how much are you going to be doing yourself versus how much is someone else going to be doing for you? I think already we see there's people who trust AI to like put all their information tells you like what should I do with my finances? What should I do with my future? It's a little scary to me because I think that a lot of the time people would just rather have someone tell them what to do rather than them doing it themselves because they think it's easier, but it kind of stops us from using our own mind, and I think a lot of people are going to fall into that. I think I'm trying to remember the word, but just like not being as sharp. I think a lot of the things that keep us healthy is having a sharp mind. And when you use AI to like the point where a lot of people are using it even now, and in our future it's going to be even more, I think our like mental cognition is going to go down drastically.
Yeah, they started calling it, I think, cognitive debt and cognitive
Yeah.
decline in the reports I saw. Interesting. Vaughn, what about you?
So for me, I think like what I said also earlier that I don't think my concern is not that AI will replace teachers, but rather, and one thing that's concerning me the most is it could replace the learning habits that we used to have before that really circles on the curiosity, resilience, and especially how we are being so patient with learning different and complex ideas. So I'm not saying that AI will not give us that. It's just that if we give up on the actual thinking process on how we'll get to learn about those topics, then maybe the creativity behind how we produce our ideas might be taken over by AI, as what has been said earlier also. So, but I'm not banking on how negative it could be, but I'm just saying that that could be one of the difficulty that we may face. I'm still thinking and I'm still hoping that AI will really be a good help, especially in the educational field, since there are really a big lacking number of teachers, especially in my country, and I think there's also lack numbers of people who's willing to take up being a teacher. So having AI as there as a fellow educator also is really a big help. But I'm just really concerned about the human education on how we can experience.
Very fair. And Nick, your perspective?
Yeah, in terms of AI itself, I feel that AI is going to shift. I know it's currently happening, but I feel that there's going to be a larger agentic AI presence. I feel that currently people are using AI as a so-called glorified search assistant or search browser. And I think that there's definitely going to be a shift where AI is kind of like, I believe it was Sanvi that said, will be running on its own and doing kind of your scheduling for you. In terms of in my life, I know that the foundational presence of knowledge that I need to build is more important than ever. I need to understand writing, and I need to understand problem solving and all these other skills that will become vital to me going forward. And we'll see what AI looks like 5 years down the road. I know it's going to be vastly different just out of the scale that things have grown in the past 5 years. However, planning for that is a hard task to do, I believe.
You know, you're not wrong. I mean, exponential slope blindness is definitely something that we're all suffering from here. We have no idea where it's going to end up, and you're right to call that out. I do have one last question that I think would be good to get everybody's perspective on. And I'll do the same thing that Matt just did, and we'll ask everybody, but I want you to just take 30 seconds. That's it, just 30 seconds and address this, okay? Let's say, and by the way, this was promoted, Violet, by you talking about your younger sister, okay? So we're going to start with you because I want to hear what you have to say about this. Let's say your younger sibling, even if you don't have one, just pretend, okay? If your younger sibling was starting college next year, what's the advice you would give them on using artificial intelligence without wrecking their own education?
Yeah, I would just tell her, use it as an aid, but really try hard to develop those skills on your own. And really, I felt the most benefit of just working hard and feeling that work pay off without using, AI to cheat but it's definitely a really good assistant and it can definitely boost efficiency, which I think lightens a lot of the stress around college and heavy assignments. But I think the learning is the most important part, especially we're paying to get a higher degree in education. Like we should be able to learn that on our own. So that would be the advice that I give.
Novel concept. Go to school and actually walk away with something important. There you go. Mohammed, what's your thoughts there?
I think I would tell them to treat AI like a tutor, not a replacement for learning or not a replacement for teacher. So, for example, if they're struggling with certain topics, so that ask AI to explain in a simpler concepts or in simpler words. Then to test their further understanding without AI afterwards, so that if AI writes an essay for her or he, so you may pass one assignment, but you won't develop the knowledge you will need in the future. So that the treat AI as a tutor for better understanding, not just for the task given.
Very good. Okay. Sanvi, give us your insights there. What would you tell your younger sibling?
I would tell them if you think it's going to get you in trouble, then just don't do it. It's a lot easier said than done, especially when everyone around you is doing it. But if you're doing an assignment, if AI is helping you and you're feeling a little bit like off that, am I going to get a fail in this class because of it? Just don't do it. It's so not worth it. And you can probably do it on your own. You don't need AI to do it for you. Like you are a capable human being who can write down your thoughts and get it done yourself. And it is so not worth failing a class when you're paying so much money for your education, just because you want to get out or get it done quicker. That's what I'd say.
Very good. Vaughn, do you have a younger sibling?
I don't, but
Okay, so pretend. Just pretend for us. What would you tell them?
okay, I'm going to think that it's my student, and I would say that not everyone is privileged to have access to AI, especially coming from the Philippines. So I would tell them that use AI to learn and not to avoid learning because it could explain difficult ideas and start thinking. But I would not let it do the thinking for you. Because one day you'll be in a position that you could also help others. So you should be curious on how you can find ways to solve problems.
Very good. Nick, bring us home. What would you tell a younger sibling?
I got a younger brother and a younger sister, and I would really enforce the idea of going faster on the things that you already feel sharp on and kind of taking back and really working hard on the things that you need to learn. I think one thing growing up that I didn't understand was the importance of topics that you might not be particularly interested in. Whether you're not a math person, math teaches you problem solving skills that will be important to you for the rest of your life. And I think that you just have to frame AI as something that will make you more efficient and will allow you to go faster on the things that you are sharp on, just like I said earlier, and will allow you to kind of grow where you need to.
Very good. Matt, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say there was somebody you didn't ask that question to, and that's me. And I don't have a younger sibling, but I do have a child that is around the age of Violet's younger sister. And I do work with him with AI. And what I tell him is that AI can be really good for helping him solidify ideas that he's got, but doesn't know how to bring them to life. But the ideas always have to be his. And as long as the ideas are his and he chooses where the conversation goes and what the outcome is, and he just uses AI to help him get there, then that's okay. Because I think he's 5 or 6 years away from college right now. And in that time, everything could be different again. So by just kind of trying to provide some guidance as to how to best frame and use AI responsibly, ethically, in a way that will help him with school and not take away from that and still encourage critical thinking and creativity, I think that's the best we can do.
I think that's a great place to end this. Everybody, thank you so much. We have some people that got up early over in Asia to do this, and then we have some people that are up way past their bedtime on the East Coast that are doing this. So thank you all for your time. Violet, Vaughn, Sanvi, Nick, Mohammed, you guys are all stars. Thank you for joining us on this panel. And so for everybody that's listening, we hope you got something out of this, and thank you for joining us on this episode of AI Diatribe. We will catch you next time.